Hey everybody, what's up? So today I want to talk about raising your vibration. Everybody talks about how important it is to have a high vibration when you're manifesting, to be in a high vibe state, to be in a flow state. So I want to give you 5 ways to immediately transform your vibration and really raise it up. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around. So high vibration, what does that mean? Well, if you're an Abraham Hicks fan, they utilize the emotional scale. So there's 2 sides of the emotional scale. There's the lower end, and then there's the higher end. Higher end is like contentment and above, lower being depression, guilt, fear, anxiety, those sorts of emotions. So they say that it's a lot easier to manifest what you want when you're in that higher vibrational state. You know what that feels like. It feels like happiness. It feels like freedom. It feels like fun. Like when I've been on vacation, so it's like, that's a good high vibration state. After you've exercised or done some meditation, those sorts of things. So I want to give you, by the end of this video, 5 ways you can immediately transform your vibration to a higher vibration and make it easier for you to manifest what you're hoping to manifest. Okay, so number 1 would be to be mindful of what you're consuming. So many of us can easily just spend hours scrolling on social media, getting swept up in the news, even in movies and TV shows that we watch. I mean, I love a good detective show, a good murder mystery, but I know that it's not good for my vibration. It doesn't help me to feel good after. A lot of people, they go to bed watching, Law and Order or something like that, and then they have a hard time sleeping and they wonder why, or they have nightmares, that kind of a thing. So the number 1 tip would be to really surround yourself with only what you want, only the vibration that you want. So at least if you're going to be on social media, be only following those accounts that give you those good feelings, that put you in a high vibrational state. I say Pinterest is one of the more positive of social media applications because you can be very selective about what you're seeing, and most of it, I haven't seen anything really negative on Pinterest. So by at least limiting or sort of filtering what you're consuming, that's the number 1 tip. Maybe not watching horror films, that kind of stuff. It's all about, I know that can be hard because a lot of us want to decompress and we like to watch stuff like that, but it's, how badly do you want change? It's up to you how much you commit to this, whether you lessen it or just try to, filter it a little bit or completely cut it out. That's really up to you and where you are on your spiritual journey. So that's going to be different for everybody. The second thing, number 2, would be to set emotional boundaries. So a lot of us, especially as empaths, can get swept up in the emotions of other people, our loved ones, and you can get really sucked up into the tornado of emotions very easily, especially if you're sensitive to that. You walk into a room and you feel what everybody's feeling, or you can sense either some tension, something like that. So you can't prevent being in a situation like that. You can't control others' emotions, but you can control how you react to them and your emotional set point, your emotional well-being. So setting the intention to hold the boundaries and, really protecting your aura, protecting your field, that can, that'll help you and keep you in that high vibration state so that you can be around others that are maybe in lower vibrational states, but you don't get sucked into it. And you're therefore that much better able to help them. Because if you're getting sucked up into somebody else's, emotional tornado, you're not going to be any good to them either. So think about that, especially as a mother. It's easy to get sucked up into our kids' emotions, but we have to be that safe place as much as we can. And we have to know that we are not responsible for the emotional well-being of everyone else around us. That's something a lot of us, unfortunately, have picked up for some reason. Growing up, maybe you felt like you had to keep everybody else high. You had to keep everybody else up. You had to keep everybody else, peaceful and happy in order for you to feel regulated. So that's something to work on. Maybe do some inner child meditations, that kind of thing. That has been very helpful for me because I was one of those people that I needed everybody to be okay for me to be okay. And that's been a long process of learning how to cope with that as an adult. So some inner child meditations can be a great way to do that. Let's see, the next one would be to spend time every day in meditation of some kind. Now, I always say, set the bar low for this. If you can do 10 minutes where you're not looking at your phone, you're not, on the iPad, or you're not, I don't know, watching TV, whatever. If you're just quieting your mind for 10 minutes, then you did a great job. And that's all you need to do for that day. Even just 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference. Because once you know what it feels like, when you finally, even for a split second, can quiet all the noise in your head, you'll seek that more and more. And so then throughout the day, I'll find myself, even like in carpool, instead of looking at my phone, I'll just sit there and just try to practice quieting the noise, in between my ears. And it's just such a good feeling. And you get better and better at it as you practice. But that's a really great way to raise your vibration, because we are energy beings, we tend to pick up on energy in all sorts of ways. So, so that can help you if you're quieting your mind. It can really help you to raise your vibration. And, like I said, it gets easier and easier as you go. So set aside 10 minutes, even if it's listening to music and going for a walk, or listening to a guided meditation on YouTube. There's a variety of different ways you can do it. Abraham Hicks always talks about listening to the noise of a fan or dripping faucet and only focusing on that sound. That's a really easy way, because you're giving your mind an assignment, because it wants to work anyway. So you're giving it something to focus on other than all of your thoughts. So that's a great way to get started. And then, gradually you can do 15, 20 minutes a day. But you don't have to sit in an hour-long meditation every day. It's not necessary. Even just a few 10, 15, 20 minutes can do wonders. Next would be, so this kind of goes along with that one, listening to music. Now, there's a little caveat there, because of course I said earlier about being careful about what you're consuming. So make sure that it is something high vibe, something that feels good, and hopefully doesn't have super negative lyrics. You just want to be mindful of that. But whatever your favorite kind of music is, there's something about that will immediately raise your vibration. And a lot of times that my intuition, it gets it really popping too, once after I've had a good walk and listening to music. So listening to music can be an immediate way to raise your vibration. And I find that if I go a while without doing that, it's like I start kind of getting down in the dumps again. And then I get back to it and I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I do this, because it feels so good. And it inspires my creativity, which is very, very high vibration. When you're in a creative mood, that's super high vibration. So listening to music is a great one. Next would be visualizing the end result often. So we tend to get down in the weeds with our day-to-day tasks, and we sort of do our little visualization, maybe if we remember, and then we quickly go back to dishes, laundry, kids, school, work, problems, finances, all those things. And we forget that end result. And then you just go, so, it's like you can't see the forest through the trees. So remembering and making it a habit every day to try to visualize that end result is a great way to keep you on that path. It reminds you, oh yeah, I've already got the GPS set to my end result, so I don't have to worry about it. It's set, it's good, but it's good to have that reminder. And it invokes those really positive feelings, which then keeps you in a higher vibration. And it just sort of keeps you in alignment a lot easier, a lot better. So, a way to do that, a sort of hack, on YouTube, there's tons of visualizations for quantum jumping, for, parallel realities, for, just for visualizing, and they will guide you through a visualization meditation. That's a great way. It's a kind of 2 for 1, because you're doing your meditation and you're doing your visualization. So, there's a lot of videos out there that I can put some links for some of my favorites. And it's a good idea to try to do it for 30 days if you can. So for some bonus, so I gave you the 5. So for some bonus material, I will link in one of my favorite meditations by Aaron Doughty. It's a meditation to permanently raise your vibration. And I would recommend reading the comments maybe like before you get started, look at the comments on the video, and it sort of primes the pump, because so many people have had success with it that that will kind of go into your subconscious and prime it for you to get better results. I think he says in there to do it for 30 days. Some people literally did it once and they said it permanently raised their vibration, got them out of depression, that kind of a thing. But it's good to, till anything they say takes 30 days to really solidify, to kind of make it a habit, right? And then my last little bonus tip, I like to use affirmations. You could do subliminals as well, but I like to do affirmations, basically asking my higher self, because words are powerful and intention is powerful. So asking my higher self to help me to be a vessel for my intuition, a vessel for, my highest vibration. And so if you start your day like that, before you grab your phone in the morning, kind of, again, priming the pump for the day and saying, I'm a clear channel, I'm so open, I'm in alignment with my highest and best self, I'm on my highest timeline, I love myself. All those kind of really good, feel-good affirmations are a fantastic way to start your day before you look at your phone and see any kind of bad news or, emails or whatever, bank notices, that kind of stuff. So that really just helps you to get in that high vibe state the minute you roll out of bed. And then that is just, it's sort of like a snowball effect, and it just helps you. Now you've set the tone for your whole day. Then when you go to bed in that high vibe state, then you wake up again and do those affirmations in a high vibe state. It makes it so much easier. In the beginning, all of this stuff, it can feel like work, and it's like, oh my God, more things on my to-do list. But I promise, the more you do it, the more it becomes second nature, and you don't even realize you're doing it anymore. And then, as Abraham says, the better it gets, the better it gets. So that's all my tips that I have for you today. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe. I'm out.